St. Mary's General Hospital, a beacon of medical excellence in an affluent suburban community, was about to face an unexpected challenge when Dr. Elena Martinez joined their staff. She had no idea of the deep-seated prejudices she would encounter. As tensions mounted and conflicts escalated, a seemingly ordinary patient named Robert Thompson watched silently from his hospital bed. But Mr. Thompson wasn't just any patient, and his presence was about to change everything. What hidden power did this mysterious patient hold? And how could one doctor's struggle become the catalyst for institutional change? Let's find out. But before we dive into this story, comment below where you're watching from today. And if you enjoy this tale with unexpected twists and moments of justice, don't forget to subscribe. The pristine halls of St. Mary's General Hospital gleamed under the fluorescent lights as Dr. Elena Martinez took her first steps inside. The air was thick with the scent of disinfectant and an underlying current of tension that made her stomach churn. Despite her nervousness, Elena straightened her back and lifted her chin, determined to make a good first impression. As she approached the nurse's station, Elena noticed the sudden hush that fell over the area. Conversations dwindled to whispers, and eyes darted away from her as if afraid to make contact. She swallowed hard, pushing down the familiar feeling of isolation that threatened to overwhelm her. "Excuse me," Elena said, her voice steady despite her nerves. "I'm Dr. Elena Martinez, the new attending physician. Could you direct me to the head of surgery's office?" A blonde nurse looked up, her blue eyes widening slightly before a practiced smile spread across her face. "Of course," she replied, her tone polite but cool. "Down the hall, third door on the right." Elena nodded her thanks and made her way down the corridor, acutely aware of the eyes following her progress. The click of her sensible shoes echoed in the silence, each step feeling like a thunderclap in the unnaturally quiet space. As she neared the office, a tall, distinguished-looking man in a white coat emerged from a nearby room. His salt-and-pepper hair and authoritative bearing marked him as a senior doctor. Elena's heart quickened with hope. Perhaps this would be her chance to make a positive connection. "Good morning, doctor," she said, offering a warm smile. "I'm Dr. Elena Martinez, the new attending physician starting today. It's a pleasure to meet you." The doctor's steel-gray eyes swept over her, his expression impassive. "Dr. William Greaves," he replied curtly. "I trust you've been properly oriented to our protocols." Before Elena could respond, Dr. Greaves continued, "We maintain very high standards here at St. Mary's. I hope you're prepared to meet them." Without waiting for a reply, he brushed past her, leaving Elena standing alone in the hallway, her outstretched hand slowly falling to her side. The interaction left her feeling deflated, but Elena refused to let it dampen her spirits. She took a deep breath, squared her shoulders, and knocked on the head surgeon's door. As she waited for a response, Elena's mind drifted back to her days in medical school. Her father's words echoed in her ears. "Mija, you're going to have to fight twice as hard as everyone else, but don't you ever let them see you sweat. You come from a long line of strong people, and you've got that same strength in you." Elena remembered the late night studying, the extra hours in the lab, and the constant feeling of having to prove herself. She recalled the subtle dismissals from some professors, the raised eyebrows when she aced an exam, and the whispered comments from classmates questioning whether she truly belonged. But through it all, Elena had persevered. She graduated at the top of her class, her determination and skill silencing even her harshest critics. Now standing in the halls of St. Mary's, Elena drew strength from those memories. She had overcome obstacles before, and she would do so again. The door opened, revealing a middle-aged woman with a stern expression. "Dr. Martinez, I presume," she said, her tone clipped. "Come in. We have a lot to cover, and I expect you to keep up." As Elena followed the head surgeon into the office, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was stepping into more than just a new job. The air in the hospital seemed charged with an undercurrent of tension, a silent storm brewing beneath the surface of professional smiles and sterile efficiency. Little did Elena know that her presence would soon become the catalyst for change in the halls of St. Mary's, challenging long-held prejudices and exposing the toxic culture that lurked behind its prestigious facade. Little did Elena know that her presence would soon become the catalyst for change in the halls of St. Mary's, challenging long-held prejudices and exposing the toxic culture that lurked behind its prestigious facade. The rest of Elena's first day passed in a whirlwind of orientations, introductions, and a mountain of paperwork. As she made her way through the hospital, she couldn't help but notice the subtle ways in which she was excluded. Conversations would drop to a hush as she approached, only to resume in hushed tones once she passed. Her attempts at small talk with fellow doctors were met with polite but distant responses, leaving her feeling like an outsider in what should have been a collaborative environment. By the time her shift ended, Elena was mentally and emotionally exhausted. As she gathered her things from her locker, she overheard two doctors talking in hushed tones around the corner. "Did you see the new hire?" one whispered. "Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking," the other replied. "This isn't exactly the neighborhood for, you know." Elena's hand froze on her locker door, her heart sinking. She had hoped that the initial coolness was just first-day jitters, but now the reality of her situation was becoming painfully clear. This wasn't just a new job. It was going to be a daily battle against prejudice and preconceptions. As she left the hospital, the weight of the day pressed down on her shoulders. Elena made her way to the bus stop, her mind a whirlwind of emotions. The excitement she had felt that morning had been replaced by a gnawing sense of doubt and isolation. Sitting on the hard plastic bench, Elena pulled out her phone and dialed a familiar number. After 2 rings, a warm, comforting voice answered. "Hey, Mia, how was your first day?" At the sound of her father's voice, Elena felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes. She took a shaky breath, determined not to break down in public. "It was challenging, Papa," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. There was a moment of silence on the other end of the line before her father spoke again, his voice filled with understanding and strength. "Elena Maria Martinez, you listen to me. You've worked too hard to let anyone make you feel less than. Remember who you are and where you come from. You're not just there for yourself. You're there for every little Latina girl who dreams of being in those halls one day." Elena closed her eyes, letting her father's words wash over her. "I know, Papa. It's just, I didn't expect it to be this hard." "Nothing worth doing is ever easy, Mia," her father replied. "But you've got the strength of generations behind you. Hold your head high, do your job better than anyone else, and don't you dare let them see you falter. You hear me?" "Yes, Papa," Elena said, feeling a renewed sense of determination. "I hear you." As she ended the call, Elena noticed a sleek black Mercedes slow down as it passed the bus stop. Through the tinted windows, she caught a glimpse of Dr. Greaves. His eyes locked on her for a moment before the car sped away. Elena squared her shoulders, her father's words echoing in her mind. She may be facing an uphill battle, but she was far from alone. With the strength of her family behind her and her own determination to prove herself, Elena knew she could weather whatever challenges St. Mary's threw her way. As the bus approached, Elena stood ready to face another day. Little did she know that her presence at St. Mary's was about to set in motion a chain of events that would challenge the very foundations of the hospital's culture, exposing long-hidden prejudices and forcing a reckoning that was long overdue. What moment in Elena's journey resonated with you the most? Was it her perseverance in the face of discrimination, or perhaps Mr. Thompson's unexpected intervention? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing to my channel. I pour my heart into crafting these heartwarming stories for you, and your support is what keeps me going. I appreciate having you on this journey.